The creation of Liam Memorial. Well, that's depressing. Huh. Well, this is a bit of a heavy kind of start. Hello there, everybody. Saban92 Gamer, and at the time I'm recording this, RB Axolotl is now officially released, which was actually released maybe about a month ago at this point. So I might be a little late. Might be a little late. But now I can finally go through the rest of this. So yeah, anime is hell title card for stage 3, which it got me curious. Definitely got me curious, but it looks like we have a bit of a memorial service to attend to first. Because, well, you know, Liam and Ankh did just, well, Ankh technically threw himself and Liam into transitional, and I'm wondering if we're going to be able to see their path, or at least understand why Ankh hates Liam so much. Or at least know the circumstances, or learn the circumstances behind the entire thing. We are gathered here today to celebrate the life of our friend, who, though faced with many challenges, managed to put up a fight, right until the very end. His life was cut short, because he was murdered. Ankh, you will not get a statue. You will not be remembered fondly. I'm ashamed. Ashamed that I ever thought of you as one of us. I wish you hadn't ever been born in this tank. You were selfish. You were a horrible axolotl and only thought of yourself. Damn it! It's all because of you that I'm never going to get home!
Hey, he's gone now. He's been gone for years. Last bit of him, the last bit of his old self at least, is buried in that corner. You saw how that arm shrunk after he left. You even tried putting a part of it into the void.
Oh, the arm that was cut off. Oh.
It's not going to do us any harm, and at this point it's safe to assume that he really is gone for good.
Yeah, Egghead. Just forget about the old Ankh. Why don't you think of all the fun we've been having in here lately instead? Didn't you say something mushy the other day? Something about appreciation for this new way of living?
I guess I did. In the end, I know what happened was probably for the best. That's what conventional morality tells me anyway. Anyway, sorry. This isn't about Ankh. This is about you, Liam. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that you will never be forgotten, no matter how much time passes. I've told this to them, but I've never told it directly to you. I wish there was more I was able to do. If I'd paid more attention to you in that last month instead of obsessing over the stupid void, or if I just worked out the simple possibility that Ankh would have come back, then... Hey, you've been teaching Axie and I to think objectively lately, haven't you? Sort of like the detectives in those mystery novels you read to us every night before bed. This is gonna seem like a random question, but why do most of the culprits in those murder mysteries commit their crimes?
Well, so far we've seen a lot of reasons, haven't we? Love, money, revenge. Although in a few cases, the villains of those novels seem like psychopaths that kill based off of no logical objective.
It's exactly that. Even if the author gives a reason, those two-bit villains never really have a good reason for taking another's life. I can't even fathom the leaps of logic they need to pull in order to convince themselves to end an innocent person's life. But most of the time, it's not sloppy writing or poor characterization. The bad guys are believable enough. They end up killing because they were transfixed on something. Some of the authors we read have gone to great lengths to show that. The bad guys ruminate on whatever drives them until it rots them from the inside out. They act on their horrible, evil emotions until they're blinded by rage. It's really rare for an antagonist in one of those stories to have a motive that doesn't seem absolutely stupid to someone with even the most basic morality. And when they inevitably get caught, they go to jail. They give up their entire life because they're transfixed on something that happened in the past. And by doing so, they give up their entire future. What could you tell someone like that?
Well, it's not easy. It's easy enough to judge them, say that they're a horrible person, and move on. But if I was going to give them advice before they do something unforgivable, I'd tell them to analyze the situation and do the right thing. Make sense of what went wrong. Learn from your mistakes. In essence, improve and move on. Life can be painful, but if you don't take the steps to ensure a good future, then you might just fall into the same trap again, and history often repeats itself.
You know your answer then. Improve. And move on. Guilt has never been our friend. It's a horrible parasite that's tried to feed on all of us in different ways these past few years.
I agree. I'm sorry for the outburst earlier. Is there anything the two of you would like to say before the ceremony comes to an end?
I want to say something! I want to say something! Pick me! Pick me! Go ahead, Axie. Liam. No, I can't wait for you to regain your memories of this place. That day comes, I'll be sure to bring you back here, and we'll have a big old chuckle together. And I can't wait till you're old enough to help us with some of the construction, too. Even though the tank isn't that big, we're making it look like it's nice and dense and populated. You probably love the work we've been doing, don't you? Oh, I'm sure you do. And Ank?
Axie paused.
Help you be nicer when you get older. I'll teach you kindness and love. So there's no way you'll be mean this time around. Right? I don't think he will, Axie. Not if we raise the three of them right. I also think that one day you'll come back to us. Come back to us in a way that we remember you. But even if you never fully wake up, I think you can still live your dream of seeing fun and exciting places. Because, like Axie just said, we're going to build them for you. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. So what are these stupid tears doing on my face? It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? That you came back to us? Yeah, it definitely is. I'm so proud of you. You little cutie pie.
This doesn't have to be the last time we say what we want to say to him.
Well, duh, Egghead. He's sleeping on the other side of the tank right now.
I'm talking about the old Liam. This monument isn't going anywhere. For however long we live, I plan to keep it clean and maintained. I was never able to do much for you while you were alive, and I regret that, so...
Ah, man, Egghead, how many times do I have to say it? When he regains his memories, he can do whatever he wants to this statue. Maybe he'll even dig up his old arm for funsies.
Okay, look, I'm sorry to say it again, but I don't think that the babies are reincarnations of Liam and Ank, like you two think they are. These?
But, Egghead... It's okay, Axie.
Look, if we ever have any words to say to him, Liam is always going to be here. Last thing I want to say... It's no consolation prize. But your death helped me out a lot. It helped me to break out of the Void's spell. Helped me to stop obsessing over RB, and I'm starting to come to grips about not getting home, too. I'm not fixated on the theoretical life I once lived as a human. These days, I'm living my best life as an axolotl. Yes, there's still something missing. But in all honesty, I've had so much fun these past few years. And I'm sure there are still more years of more fun to come. It's thanks to you, Liam, that I'm able to appreciate these good times. Nobody said anything more. The three of them slowly trickled away from the memorial.
I thought I'd have more things to say, but the words got caught on the tip of my tongue. He's always gonna be here, right? If not by the memorial, then swimming around elsewhere in the tank. That's... true. Axie, I just don't want us to completely forget, you know? About the old Liam. ever since the babies came to us, especially Lee, of course, it's like I've replaced him in my mind. I barely even think about old Liam, and that's a little scary to me for some reason.
They just suddenly just fucking babies just popped out of nowhere? Did they come out of the void or something? Okay.
If Lee and aren't Lee and A aren't our old axolotl like Neo thinks they are. And I don't want to forget.
Lana, why do you think you'll forget him?
Because time is a really long time.
Well, there is a way to keep track of time, you know. And a way to remember and annually celebrate important events. Ever heard of a little thing called a holiday? When we finalize our calendar, we can add in as many holidays as we want to remember certain events. What do you say? We could work on it for the rest of the day. Are you guys cool with that? I don't think the kids are waking up for a while anyway.
Oh, that sounds fun! But when you say holiday, you mean like days where we do special stuff, right? In that case, I want my own special period of time.
And he's shaking, he's just vibrating.
An entire month dedicated to me. I hereby propose that each year we celebrate Axie Month.
You know, I might be tempted to grant that request, seeing as our calendar is looking pretty barren right now. What do you think, Lana?
It would be kind of neat if we all had our own months, wouldn't it? I never got around to asking you. How is our calendar going to be structured?
Well, the idea started up as my own way of keeping track of things a long time ago. So, it might not make much sense to you guys. The modern human calendar, the one that the characters in the books we read follow, was created according to the solar-lunar cycle. The calendar tracks how many times the sun rotates around the Earth, and 12 months were created based off of that. But none of that needs to be true in here. I'm not even sure if the tank has a sun. We have no seasons, no weather to keep track of, and environmental factors to govern us. Unless you count the void, of course. So, we don't need to play by these rules. We can create our own calendar with our own way of keeping track of time. The human calendar is 12 months within 365 days. But ours is a lot simpler than that. Our calendar, from the start of the year to the end of the year, is less than half of that time. Unlike the human calendar, which has some months with more days than others, ours will have 30 days per month. And only 5 months per year. Which comes out to exactly 150 days in one of our years. Like I said, the human calendar isn't that neat. It's, kind of rigid. But isn't this a nice way to keep track of things? Luckily for you guys, I haven't decided upon any names yet for the months of our holidays. In my haste, I simply wrote month 1 to month 5. So, the future is a blank slate, literally.
I think I understand. So since you've been keeping track of the days, which month and year are we in now?
We are in the 3rd month of our 3rd year in the tank. Dating back to the first day that we emerged from the void together. In the human world, there are many people who use AD after the day to signify the modern age of time. I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we had something like that as well? Since we came from the void, after void? Yeah, I was gonna say. How does after void, or AV, sound to you guys? If we go by this, it means right now we're in the year 3 AV. What do you guys think of this naming scheme?
I dig it.
Me too. So, when we're designing this calendar and creating holidays, you mean we should pick, like, days with significance to us, right?
Seems like a good way to do it, yeah.
Come on! I'm gyrating over here at the thought of Axie Month. Tell me that we're going to have Axie Month.
Well, yeah, that could happen.
Let's discuss it together.
I've been keeping a log of when certain things have happened. Like the day when the babies came to us, or that day about a year ago when we found the virtual reality headset. Virtual reality? We could make holidays out of those times too, perhaps.
Why don't we get started then?
We could even name today after Liam. Like a Liam Memorial Day. Yeah!
I like that idea too. I guess that means every year on this day we'll celebrate Liam Memorial Day. What started off as a somber morning quickly turned into a fun day. They talked excitedly about the calendar and all of the many holidays they were going to create, deep into the night. And together, they created a roadmap by which to navigate through eternity. Interesting. Let's turn back the clock. Or turn the clock back to that time 3 years ago. Oh. I promised that I'd tell you both everything that I know. About the Phantom, the strange figure calling themselves RB. The day it all started. It was shortly after we were born. The same day we each claimed our corners and took our first gulps of life in this tank. As shameful as it might sound, I've been keeping a secret since that day. The day we first met each other. Axie. Lana. Perhaps... Do you recall the feeling of being newly reborn? The alien feeling of having an entire, unfamiliar world in front of you? It's something I'll never forget. An eerie fever dream, a childlike excitement of wonder. I think that now, after reflecting on it a bit, that feeling was of immense relief. Being born in the tank was like opening my eyes after a coma, like breathing fresh air after being strangled for so long. It was such a relief to be in this environment, truly. But relief wasn't the only thing I felt that day. After the initial calm waned, something happened. I felt a spark of motivation. An old ember inside me burned anew. That old spark, which has fueled many of my decisions up to this point, can only be described as an intangible sense of unfinished business. These confusing bursts of emotions. Well, I like to think they're controlled by now. But the nightmares, they do still visit me on occasion. I was of course drawn to the void that day. That's why the lab is in such close proximity to it, as you both know. Part of being drawn to the void was instinctual ember I just mentioned. A feeling of unfinished business pushing me towards what logically seemed to be the only exit contained within the four walls of our surroundings. That's right. Even if the emotions are controlled, the ember is still lit. Going home still remains my goal, and I doubt that's going to change anytime soon. Our various obsessions, those who are obsessed with each other, those who are obsessed with sickness, and those who are obsessed with themselves. The obsessions may have different details, but the way of obsessive thinking always stem from the same strands of logic. That's why I fear, and I hope, that me telling you two about these messages will not unleash a madness within you, as it had done to me on that first day. These are the messages I received. From who I do not know, not really. All I know are the minuscule bits of vague information they've chosen to give me. We can come to some conclusions through this information, though. About our phantom benefactor, I've yet to confirm the meaning of these letters that they address themselves as R and B. I do have my theories, of course. I'm now ashamed to say that for the last few months, I put this phantom's words over you two. Putting the words of a complete stranger over the two in front of me, who I see in the flesh every day. It's starting to seem so silly now. I'm a little ashamed. I should have just been myself, but that emotional ember burned too bright. In other words, the promise of going home has made me forego my wits. It's obvious that this RB is not on our side. Enk's new powers, that was the straw that broke the camel's back and convinced me otherwise. If only we'd had this conversation earlier, perhaps Liam wouldn't have had to have been dragged into this mess. As the realization dawns on me, I'm starting to truly regret my one-sided relationship with RB. I want you both to know that. At this stage, I can only pray that the void somehow opens up to us again. I'm not sure if we can go in there with through our side without special circumstances. Yeah, Axie, I remember. And I'm sorry for that incident, too. Because of that time, Axie, I've got a hypothesis. That the void is a closed curtain which can only be accessed through one side. To put it another way, imagine as though we axolotls are rabbits who fell into a trap, with no way out unless the hunter RB decides to take mercy on us. To be fair, Rock Bottom does refer to them all as minions, so if we walk into the void haphazardly, then yes, our future is uncertain. If the void is truly closed off, I don't know how I'm going to live with myself. The thought makes me dread. What? Messages? No, I'm not trying to buy time, Lana. Okay, that's a lie. I'm very about revealing even the little I know. Just in case I misunderstood the messages, or what if RB is really telling the truth? I suppose that I've already disobeyed him by talking to you guys. So what is there to lose now? Okay. The first message. We were born alongside it. It is in my notebook. Yes, the same one that you see me dangling around my neck all the time. You know, I never leave home without it. The message wasn't in plain sight. I think by hiding the messages, RB was making sure they only got to me. But, well, as you'll soon hear, there is evidence against that too. On that first day alive, I was simply coming to terms with my existence, as I'm sure you both were too. Flipping through my notebook, I absently contending with my thoughts. And in that strange haze, my fingers noticed something odd. One of the pages near the back of the notebook was slightly thicker than the rest. Something which should have been totally innocuous. But I had a feeling that something was off. After a bit of fumbling, I realized the strange thickness was 2 pages of the notebook stuck together. And clear as day, one of the pages had a note written on it. Mia, do not read this message aloud if you are with the others. It is for your eyes only. Is it only us now? I'll cut right to the chase then. You probably haven't been in the tank very long, but do you already miss home? Home. Does that word stick out to you? Does it light a fire in your tummy? I hope it does. I hope that your very essence is excited. If getting back home feels important, read on. Neo, I am the one who saved you from your miserable existence. I saved you for a reason. Your potential. Realize your potential and use it to aid me. That is the end goal of our engagement. Including you, there are 5 axolotls in this tank. 5 axolotls, each with potential. And yet I plan to have only one essence under my command when all of this is finished. Do you understand what that means? Do you want to leave or do you want to die? You may have a chance to go back to this home you desire under my guidance. There's only one rule I'd like you to follow for now. You cannot show these letters to anyone else. Do not let anyone else know of my plan or my existence. Prove to me something, Mia. Prove to me that you are worth bringing home. Well, now, live your new life as an axolotl. That was the first message. I discovered it in my notebook not even 24 hours after awakening here, before either lab was even made. I had no idea how to react, yet as the letter stated, I felt compelled by an urge to go home. I have told you both no falsehoods in our time together, but I did leave these messages out. Because of that rule. Not to share with others. Damn. That part about RB only picking one of us to go home. It never really sat well with me. It was soon apparent that some of the books that came through the void were fictional, and others were non-fictional. I separated these books by categories that came in each day and learned about many things. Mostly, I learned about Earth. That's where I came from. I think that's where we all came from, but if I had to guess... And so I began slowly questioning all of you about your thoughts of this other world. It felt like maybe if you guys knew something... Well... I was also curious if you all received letters as well. Guess not, huh? Soon enough, within our first week here, I realized that I could pseudo-manipulate the void by putting in items that had relationships with other items. That sort of magic I once compared to a strange type of alchemy. I already told Axie, but that's how I got the materials to construct my bookshelf in my lab. Eventually, Arby did contact me again. 3 times in total. But from what Enk said and the last message, I fear we may not hear from him again. The second message came in on a book that appeared 2 weeks after our birth. The Comprehensive Guide and Study of Axolotl Biology. I've cross-referenced that book several times in our conversations, as you may remember. Any of you could have found this message, and had I not been there to snatch the book out of the void. By reversing the dust jacket, the message was written in big blocky letters. And while it was much easier to find than the first message, it also had much less to say.
Neo, how is life in the tank treating you so far? Are you and the others getting along? Are you on the way to realizing your potential? There are others who have been stealing my attention lately. I wonder if one day when you fully mature you'd like to meet some of my other candidates. That is, if you even get to that point. I'm teaching a certain someone how to fetch. Would you like to learn how to fetch too one day? Well, despite my attention to other matters, I still have hope for this little tank. Prove to me that you are ready. I don't care how long it takes, Neo. Time, in the sense that you know it, is a trivial matter to my kind. But I do care about results. If you can figure out the truth of this place that you're in, it may be enough to sway me into granting your desire for home. No promises, though. Arby.
From this message, I'd confirmed a few suspicions I had. We were in some kind of test, not just against each other, but maybe even others beyond the tank. Actually, I'm not sure if direct competition is correct, but this RB is orchestrating some sort of pissing contest. The other thing I concluded was the victory condition for this pissing contest. That's why up until this point I've tried reasoning out various things. About my past life, about our existence here, and our relationships, and our obsessions. In this regard, nothing I have is fully concrete. Only guesses. Hypotheses. I started to think long and hard about these messages, and what it meant to go home. I wanted to figure out the secrets of the tank. And finding out how to manipulate the void seemed like the logical first step in achieving that. At one point in the time between the first and second messages, terrible nightmares plagued me every night. Thus, for a brief time, I stopped sleeping so much, and gave in fully to my emotions. I did manage to break out of that stupor, though, only to crawl right back in it when the void stopped working later on. I think a hard slap to the face, realizing that we were not on Earth, kicked some sanity in my face. The reality of you guys, the empty space around the tank, the very real sensation of swimming in my waking hours all brought me back to the mindset of reasoning and logic. I think I told you before, Axie. Nothing about our existence makes any sense. In the tank we play by different rules than those who live on Earth. I began to think if we weren't in the tank, then where were we? I still don't know, not really. I'm not even sure if it's explainable in the traditional sense, if Arby is truly a higher being, as he so boasts. Yet as angelic as he tries to make himself in these messages of superiority, isn't it also quite unfair that Arby is just stringing us along? That's why I'm done playing by his rules. My guess is that Ankh was the candidate RB was looking for, and that his last test was to take Liam back. Who is to say what's going to happen now? By all accounts, the void not working anymore in the third message. It seems like RB may be done with the 3 of us who remain. Yes, that's right. I did say there were 3 messages in total. The third message actually came in on the same day that Ankh first got absorbed into the void. It was only a month or 2 ago, and Axie was with me at the time the message came in. It was the last item that came through the void. Yeah, the message came in on a very particular book called... Oh, that book!
Everything. My discovery of the Ryokosho, the world's oldest and deadliest civilizing. Written by Dr. Guts.
I flipped through the book immediately, sensing the odd flavor of it, even as you were beside me that day, Axie. Yet even if it did strike me in that moment as slightly odd, I didn't at the time imagine that this journal was one of the vehicles in which RB would send one of his messages. You have to understand that books came through every day in the preceding weeks, sometimes multiple books, so I was hoping for a fun fictional book that day. I found the message that afternoon. Actually, as I was reading through the message for the first time after decoding it, I heard a knock on the door from you, Lana. That was a busy day, if I recall. That was the same day when Axie had his violent encounter with Ank. Back when Ank was just a regular Axolotl. I'm taking the utilitarian view, but frankly, his life was not worth the two of yours or even Liam's. Although, unlike RB, I do not claim to be of any sort of higher morality, and I'm not fit to be the judge of matters such as that. Anyway, the last message. It did not feel like the other messages. It was foreboding, but short. I did not imagine it to be the last message at the time. Let me talk about the strange book it came in on. After reading the book several times, I still don't get what the Ryokosho is all about. To put it simply, the story is about an archaeology professor named Dr. Gatz, and his dealings with a supernatural entity known as the Ryokosho. The book goes into great detail describing his own egotism, his disdain for the low intellect of most of his students, and his ambition for great discovery. On a business trip to South America, he finds relics to an ancient civilization that was unknown to him before, Ryokosho. His thirst for glory overcomes his honor, and so he does not tell his colleagues about this discovery, instead compiling all the research into a journal. His plan is to make a big splash, reveal it to a large publication all at once when he's firmly secured all of the tribe's secrets. He learns more about this tribe, how the god is known as everything, how they had a ceremony called the Messenger, while exploring their strange caves. Meanwhile, as Dr. Gatz spends his years gathering more information, hiring shady cheap workers instead of qualified archaeologists, he continues to teach in order to fund this private endeavor. A central conflict in this journal comes about as Dr. Gatz becomes increasingly more paranoid that one of his old students is out to get him. A student, who he later finds out, has been enrolled in various classes he's taught for decades, unbeknownst to him. Eventually, the journal ends, and it is presumed that Dr. Gatz meets an unfortunate end from his old student, who is somehow connected with the Ryokosho. I'm sorry if that was a little confusing, but that was a very basic summary of this odd tale. The whole story was written in the first person, and in a very specific type font that resembled handwriting. The book was odd in other ways, too. There wasn't even a copyright section near the front. The important thing, the message from RB was easy enough to find. It was on the back cover of the book, printed right into the last page. At some point in the story, Dr. Gatz learns of the strange bright blue alphabet of the Ryokosho and makes a handy chart for himself. RB's message was so easily decipherable using the analog of this strange alphabet. Unfortunately, after I decoded it, the message disappeared. I only have my memory to go by, but I did write it as best as I could when I had the chance in my notes. It spoke of the conflict Axie and Ank would have later that day. Compared to the other two messages, this one was menacing and straight to the point.
Hello, this is RB. The conflicts in the tank may lead one of you to kill another. I hope you understand the meaning of this, my minion. If something goes wrong, you will know. If you want to die, if you want your soul to be erased and your mind ripped apart from the seams, you can step into the void. It will kill those of you who are not chosen. The choice is yours, though. If you want to end your pathetic struggle, goodbye.
It seemed as though from the first two messages that RB had a plan. Yet somehow in the time between them, it seems that I angered him. I wasn't sure what to make of it. But when the void stopped working the next day, I became panicked, and increasingly more worried as the weeks went by. I thought that Ank would produce some other item, not an enhanced version of himself. It's confusing. void. Bobby, Dr. Guts. It's all damn confusing. I'm still trying my best to make sense of everything. I'm sorry. I might have rambled on a bit, but there you have it. That's my story. You know pretty much everything I do now. The bottom line is the void is broken, and Liam and Ank are gone. All signs point to us being trapped in here forever. But that can't be, guys. There is absolutely no way that can be true. That ember inside me yearning for home still burns brightly when I let it. I just... I have to make the void work again. And then we'll be able to figure out a way out of here. Because what is the alternative? We don't even want to think about that. Lately, it feels as though I'm lost in some great labyrinth. I run around and around, checking each wall for exits, but the maze only loops in on itself. The more I run, the more the walls tells me the truth. They whisper horrible things in my ear.
It's impossible to fight against us, Neo. Accept your fate like a good boy, Neo.
But if that's true, then what? Do I just stop and make a home in this maze? This annoyingly small cage I find myself in day after day? The more I ruminate on it, the worse the terrible existential thoughts become. Just, what's the point? What's the point of anything? If I can't get home, if I can't leave this maze, then just how the hell am I supposed to live with myself? Neo was close, much too close to the void. Closer than he dared himself to be in a long time. If the currents changed or his balance slipped up, there's no question. He would fall right in. And yet that didn't seem like an insane notion. Just walk forward, and it would all be over. His stress would be answered in kind. Damn it! What am I doing? This isn't logical. I know what my goal is. I know what I have to do. My goal is to make the void work again so I can get back home. It's not like the void can be on the fritz forever, despite what Arby implies. I refuse to believe that this is all that life in the tank can offer. It had been a few weeks since the incident with Ank and Liam, and despite Neo still feeding it various small items each day, the void had yet to produce anything. After all this time, has the void amounted to nothing more than an oversized garbage disposal? Are we really supposed to rot in here for all of eternity? Like Arby implies? Stuff like the bunny trapped by the hunter? Is this what being discarded is like? No. I refuse. I refuse, I refuse, I refuse! Arby, don't you dare underestimate me! I'm going to get back home. Whatever home is. You'll see. You'll definitely see. This variant of conversation was something Neo had struggled with a lot these past few weeks. It was times like these where he strained his brain to search through options he hadn't previously considered. And if that didn't work, then he'd strain his brain to think of something to cheer himself up. That one book. He thought back to the book about human history that had come in on the second week, one of his most valuable and educational materials. And with this renewed sense of confidence, he hurried back to the lab. The moon. If man was able to walk on the moon just 66 years after flying an airplane for the first time, then why shouldn't I be able to... No! It's a stupid example! That analog doesn't even make any sense! What am I even saying right now? Alright. Alright. Let's be logical. Let's be practical. Do I have options at all? What are some things I haven't thought of yet? Again, he went back to the same thought pattern. The same conversation in his head. Sometimes, he was successful in hyping himself up. And he had a brilliant spark of inspiration that led him to trying out something new. But ultimately, he was starting to realize that these thoughts did more harm than good. As his plans had yet to bear anything. He knew that he was slowly being beaten down by the harsh reality of the situation. Every day he waited, prayed, for something from the void. A sign that he could still fight to go back home. He had nightmares too. At times, horrible thoughts invaded every crevice of his mind. When would Anchor Liam come? Would Ank eventually come back, even stronger to finish the rest of them off, like he'd alluded? That remained to be seen.
Okay, what items are to be sacrificed today? This hilt.
Indeed, it was the hilt of the axe that they had used against Ank to weaken his arm.
This is one of the last things I own that isn't made out of paper. Please, Void, react to this. Please.
He threw it in. Just like the last several items he threw in, the Void ate it up without question, making only a scarce sound while doing so.
What am I doing?
If the other items didn't work, there's no way a rusty hilt will do anything.
Aside from that, I guess my notebook. I can't. Not that. Is it time? Is it time to go to Plan A?
The A in Plan A stood for Axie, obviously.
He's the only one. He must somehow be the solution to this riddle.
You did promise you wouldn't do it, though.
Dang it!
Neo rummaged through his lab to find the sample of Axie. Even though there had been much less to do lately, he had let his lab get really unorganized.
Ah, here it is.
A small piece of Axie's flesh, and the string that he used to hover it into the void.
That's right. We have to use Axie's skin to...
The unthinkable happened. The void ate up the piece of flesh, and just like that, his last stable hope vanished.
What? What the hell does this mean? Is my flesh also...
Neo took out a sharp piece of wood from his pocket and used it to slice off a small piece of skin from his tail. He tied this fresh sample of skin to a piece of string and hung it over the void. Just like before, the void ate his piece of flesh too, instantly and without question.
Maybe... Again! No! Again!
Neo, are you okay? You're bleeding. Just what are you doing to yourself?
Lana and Axie had been watching him as they frantically cut off various pieces of his skin and fished them down into the void. His immediate reaction was a stark sense of embarrassment, but then his mind started focusing on what really mattered.
Axie! Please, Axie, I need another sample from you. Just a small one. The skin on the bottom of your feet isn't doing anything special, right? You won't miss it, I'm sure. Please, your old sample, the one that wouldn't be absorbed by the void, it stopped working for whatever reason. So, I need a new one. We're axolotls. We generate new skin amazingly fast. You'll have brand spanking new feet skin by tomorrow.
Neo, get a hold of yourself. Axie doesn't have to give anything to you. Especially a piece of his own freaking skin. Don't be like Ank. Don't become unreasonable and demanding. Try to be mindful. You promised us that you were done listening to RB. This seems like the kind of thing a weirdo like him would come up with. A test or experiment or something in order to drive us apart.
Please, I'm at a loss with my research. Getting a piece of his skin, it's all I'm going to be thinking about for days now. You don't understand. Without that flesh, without Axie, there's no way we can possibly get back.
Get back to what? We've talked about this. You have no idea what you're even trying to get back to. If you can give me a compelling reason, sure, I'll listen. Look, we didn't come here this afternoon to argue. We came here because we've been worried about you. You know, it might do you some good to take some time off. What if you just took a short break from your research? Play with me and Axie just for a teensy tiny little bit. It'd be fun.
Told you guys, I don't have time to trifle about doing nothing. The more time I waste doing nothing, the more my momentum will fall. I need to solve this riddle, and quickly.
We all read the messages you showed us. Probably isn't anything you can do now. It might be time to accept that. And live our lives here peacefully. That's right, Egghead.
Don't You dare say something like that? You imply that I should just give up like a common fool? Some way or another, we've got to get back home. Maybe you, but not us. Neo, I know very well where this road with you is eventually leading. At some point, you'll get a piece of skin from me. And then at some other point, you'll pressure me into the void just like before. And like I told you last time, something like that, it just ain't happening again. Actually, but those are my final words on this. Sorry, Egghead.
Look, from my end, I'm not telling you to stop researching, but you just look so run down and stressed. I can't help but be worried. Come on, take a break. An hour of playtime to recharge your batteries?
Do I look like I have an hour?
Do you look like you have an hour? Yes. Why, yes, you do. All work and no play makes Nico a dull boy. All work and no play makes Neo a dull boy. All work and no play makes Neo a dull boy. Besides, Egghead, you promised you'd play with me and never did. Remember? Remember?
Huh? I did? When?
All that time you made me go into the void. Now I'm cashing in my check. Come on, come on! You need to clear your head, Neo.
If I made a promise to you, then sure, I apologize. Fine then. What are we doing? Tag or something?
Checkers! We're going to play some checkers, just you and me. Mano a mano.
Did I mishear you?
Nah, you didn't. Unless you did. I said we're going to play checkers, Grandma. Checkers is a board game.
I know what checkers is, but what? What the hell did you just say? A board game came through the void? And you guys didn't tell me? Do you even realize the amount of stress, the amount of work I've...
Neo, no. It's nothing like that. Come to my corner and it'll all make sense.
Lana's corner. When had he last been there? He'd been hyper-focused on research lately. From what he remembered, it had looked remarkably plain, much like the area of her former neighbor, Liam. To be fair, we haven't actually looked in Lana's corner yet. We've only had, like, small mentions of it. But what he witnessed when he went over there was anything but plain.
Oh! It looks quite nice.
What's this? Lana, you're...
This is genius!
Genius? I don't know about that. Just a lot of elbow grease. Oh, and actually helped a lot too.
When did you have the time to make all of this? Look at how intricately crafted everything is. All this stuff, this bed, this table, all of it was made from plants? The same plants that grow on the bottom of the tank?
Yep, that's right.
Even these shapes over here? How did you get the plants in such a pattern?
It's called trimming and tying, Egghead. You should really try it with us sometime. It's actually quite relaxing.
Are there seriously so many plants in this tank? How'd you pick all of these without me even noticing?
Oh, that's simple. After you pick them, the plants grow back. Each day when Axie and I go back to the same spot, the plants are there again.
The plants grow back?
Oh, that's right, Eggy. They grow back.
Ooh.
The plants grow back. The plants grow back! This changed the ball game entirely! If the plants grow back, then that's an entirely renewable resource which we have inside the tank! An entirely renewable resource to work with opens up so many possibilities!
Neo? Are you alright? You're spacing out just a bit.
I'm fine. Just admiring your craftsmanship is all.
Well, I'm glad you like it so much. Ah, this is just the beginning too, Egghead. You should hear the kind of plans that Lana has for the Unkajunk known as the tank. Oh, actually, I'm flattered. But wait a second. You love the tank. Why would you call it junk? Unkajunk! Ain't that just a fun thing to say? Flows right off the tongue.
I get an idea. Renewable resource, which means he has an infinite amount of stuff that he can just casually throw into the void. Or he probably has some other use for it, but I imagine he's just gonna... This does open up possibilities for his research. I don't think he's ever even attempted to throw a plant in there. Neo was completely overwhelmed.
All of these possibilities of having an entirely renewable resource.
Sure, he'd thrown plants in the void before, but that was nothing... Oh, he had. Never mind. That was nothing new. But now he could do it haphazardly. Craft the plants into any shape that was necessary. And there are potentially many other uses, too. Tying the plants and using them as tethers instead of using string. Creating harnesses, barricades, and even full plant bodysuits. He could make all sorts of tools and materials. He would study their growth cycle. And... You need to write this down. Right now. Tomorrow. Lana? Axie? Tomorrow. Tomorrow, I promise.
What do you mean tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I swear. We'll play a game together tomorrow.
Egghead, you promised!
Tomorrow, I'll play double the time. Triple the time. I'll play whatever game you want. This time, I promise. Your plants have given me an idea. And now I've got to strike the iron while it's hot.
Huh.
Before they could reason with him, he was already gone.
No. Oh.
Yep. Neo no.
Neo, yes.
After learning that the plants in the tank were a renewable resource, Neo was filled with a myriad of wild ideas that flew off his mind and into the page. However, none of the ideas did him any good. Wellspring of Wisdom had become dry after only a short 24 hours. That didn't take long.
Dang it! You stupid plants! There must be something else I can use them for.
He'd been binging idea after idea, experiment after experiment. He felt his mind running on overdrive. Every breath he took over the last few hours was filled with a deep exhaustion. Things were even starting to become blurry, the world starting to spin crazily around him. That's when he realized an obvious fact. He didn't even remember the last time he'd slept. That didn't matter. This spinning world could wait. His exhaustion, it could wait too. There were still plenty of other ideas he hadn't explored yet. Had to be.
What if we take the plants and craft them into a perpetual motion mechanism? That's right. We could use this new machine to automate throwing plants into the void. How about now, Abby? You couldn't ignore us if we did that. And here's another one I bet you haven't thought of, Abby. This crack. Yes, the crack where Ank used to live. Maybe we just break open the glass to see what's really outside the tank. If it's a renewable resource, then the possibilities must be endless, right? Right? Renewable resources are the best! The best! The best! There's no way my plants could have already run dry. Not as long as something is renewable. God, that must be the sexiest word of all time! Yeah, that's not over yet.
Neo, please. Please tell me you've been taking care of yourself.
Once again, they spotted him doing something strange, yelling into the crack in the wall near Ank's old corner.
Well, Axie and I found it kind of hard to work today, and so, well, we're still worried about you. More than ever. That's right. I really miss the old Egghead. The Egghead who'd call me a moron when I made a stupid joke. Egghead who'd invite me into his lab. Egghead who used to just hang out with me daily and brag about his ego. I don't know what's happening with you, but I don't like it. Not one single bit.
Oh my gosh. Guys, that's right, I just remembered the promise he'd made with them. To play a game of their choosing. Somehow that promise had completely slipped his mind, even if he had said it with the intent of keeping it.
I promised that I'd play with you guys today, so let's do that.
Today? Egghead, that was more than a week ago. Me and Lana even had a bet on whether you'd come each day. Well, it wasn't a bet exactly. I think that since we're both optimistic people, each day we expected you to come, but you never did.
Jesus. Has it really been that long since I was last in your corner?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I guess when you're doing science, time just passes you by at the blink of an eye, huh?
So, Neo, what's it going to be? Are you going to play with us, or lie to us some more?
I'll play with you guys, okay? I'll play right now.
No, you know what? That's not acceptable either. Have you looked at the glass lately? Do you even know what your own reflection looks like? You're a mess. Every single part of you right now is a mess. So, go take a nap. Axie and I are used to waiting at this point. But just know, if you skirt us off again and go researching after you wake up, then we're through trying. We won't bother you again.
I understand. I know. I really have been a jerk. Sorry. And thank you. I'll try to get some sleep now. But Willie, yet even as he laid on the ground of his lab, trying to get some rest, his mind would not stop racing. He knew he needed sleep, but it just wouldn't come. He was starting to panic. That's when he noticed the two tiny blue pills next to him. It was the last of the promotional candy he'd once given to Liam. These little blue things had worked to briefly sedate Liam back then. But it also somehow made Ankh more powerful when they'd forcefully fed it to him. He had no idea what effect it might have on him, but his mind just wouldn't shut up. So uncharacteristically and without thinking about it too much, he gulped them down, hoping for some respite. Oh. That is not good. Whoa! Whoa! Wait, whoa! What the fuck? Emojis! Okay, that was weird. Oh boy. What are you gonna do to him?
How long was I out?
He tried to reorientate himself. I'm so groggy this morning.
I suppose that my body needed the rest more than I thought.
The morning was peaceful, but only for a moment. It didn't take long for a feeling of despair to dawn upon him.
There has to be other things I can try. Because if we never get out of this tank, then will I have to deal with this emptiness forever?
Here's the question though, how long has he been out? Eventually, the grogginess started to wane. He began to trace out the events of the last few days.
That's right. I can't forget again. Axie and Lana!
He hadn't meant to betray them or ignore their calls, but important things had just gotten in the way. He needed to go over there. Do anything in his power to make it up to them, because he had wronged them. You could just tell them about the candy.
Ah, hey there, Egghead! Did you have a nice nap?
Just how long was I out for?
However long it was, he had to record it in his notebook or nobody else would. He needed to record that missing week too.
No, I haven't seen anyone sleep that long since Liam first took the promotional candy. If I had to guess, you slept around 13 hours.
Yeah, I was pretty tired. In fact, I still feel a little off. But I'm thinking a lot more rationally after getting a good rest. Look, I'm sorry, you guys. My habits haven't been too good lately. I'm not going to stop the frequency at which I research, but it was wrong of me to skirt you guys off after making a promise. I want to make it better. So, with all that said, how about some checkers?
I'm gonna kick your butt.
What was that, Axie?
You heard me, you pasty little egghead. Kicking your butt is what I'm gonna do.
So I assume you play checkers often, Axie? Do you fancy yourself as some kind of pro?
Me and Lana have been playing at least once a day. Axie's actually quite good, Neo. I think he'll give you a run for your money, especially if you're new to the game.
I'm not completely new. I think I can remember the rules a little.
Those familiar shivers again.
So, what are we waiting for?
Axie led Neo over to a bucket overflowing with items, all of which were predictably made of plants. From out of the bag, he produced a board and pieces. The pieces were cut and pasted into little circles, one of each color.
Ah, this craftsmanship. I see some chess pieces in there too.
Uh-oh, he's excited about our work again. The last time that happened...
Axie, you're going down.
Like a clown?
If that's the manner in which you want to go down, then sure.
No, Neo, it is you who's going to go down. You think the raddest dude in the world would be defeated by a mere egghead?
How about this? If I win, you have to promise not to call me Egghead for an entire day.
Oh, you're on, son. If I win... Nah, you know what? We talked it over, and I'm not giving you a choice on that one.
Well, what do you mean, Axie?
Alright, I've set up the board for you guys. We're gonna have a clean fight here. No cheap one-hit cross counters. We don't want anyone to get punch-drunk syndrome.
The hell's that?
And no external devices will be permitted in this duel either, due to fear of cheating. That means keep your gauntlets firmly at A3W, kids. What? Yeah, no monkey business, egghead. And when I beat you, no crying, okay?
You'll eat those words, Axie. Let's go.
Two axolotls playing checkers. I never thought I'd see the day.
Nani?
Neo had moved his piece forward one space.
I didn't expect this level of play from you. I've got a newfound level of respect for you, egghead.
Don't patronize me, you animal.
The two axolotls exchanged blows, each moving one piece at a time. Who were the pieces and who were the players in this grand spectacle? However, something soon became apparent about their game.
King me! King me, sucker! Bow to your new king, peasant! King me!
Axie's pretty good at it.
King me, fool!
What the hell happened to your voice? It freaking cracked. Well, can't say I expected you to be so good at this game.
And the winner by a considerable landslide is Axie the Axolotl. The crowd goes wild. I win! Birthday, it's your birthday, Axie, it's your birthday.
I don't want to get copyright claimed.
I admit defeat. But, you know, I was only just getting used to this game again and remembering the rules. I bet you don't have it in you to beat me twice in a row.
Ha! You are 300,000 years too early to challenge me again. Bring it!
The plant pieces were quickly put back into their original positions, and the two went at it again. This time, however, it was a much closer match.
Lana, I'm starting to think that Egghead is an android. He's doing the impossible. He's learning. I barely won against that monster, but one day he might conquer us all if we don't set restrictions on his coding. What are you talking about, Axie? Anyway, congrats. You won again. You won once again, but it was a real close fight that time.
So, what do you say, Axie? Do you think you can win 3 times in a row? I doubt it. I think I'm just about finding my groove.
Try me. I'll make you extinct like the dinosaurs.
Mondo cool. For the third time they battled. And this time, Neo was finally victorious.
No! My precious kingdom of circles. All ruined in an instant. Hey, good game, Egghead.
Yeah, good game, Axie. Do you perhaps want to play again?
I thought you'd never ask.
We're gonna have a tiebreaker situation. Neo's victory was much more apparent in the 4th game.
Nicely done, Neo. Well, looks like you got some real competition now, Axie. Ha! All this will do is make me even stronger. Now that I have a rival, things from now on will be a lot more interesting.
Hey, you got that right. I had a lot of fun too.
In playing with Axie all afternoon, Neo had at one point gone completely into the spirit of the game. Hadn't thought of RB or the Void or home in over a few hours. That must have been a new record.
And hey, Egghead, it's not just checkers either. Yep, we've got a ton of other games and more in the works. Here, let me show you.
What other games you got here?
Ta-da! There's tic-tac-toe, backgammon, and we've even started work on something that Axie wants to call shoots and latches.
First off, played tic-tac-toe. Never played backgammon in my entire life, and...
Nice. And this is all made from plants, huh? Real impressive.
Yeah.
I should really go.
Every day.
What was that, Axie?
Every single day from now on, I'm going to see you here, Egghead.
No, I mean, I had fun today, but there's still research to be done. To get home,
It's only an hour a day, Neo. Think of it as a punishment for breaking your promise to us so many times.
All right. I guess you got me. Since I broke my promise to you both, it's the least I can do. And I've got work to be done now. So then, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Same time, same place. Same channel, same face.
Neo scurried off to his lab. Lana and Axie grinned at each other as he left.
We did it, Axie. We did it, we did it. Yeah! We did it! We did it! I'm so glad. This way he's not gonna stress himself out so much. Fuck! Viva la Egghead Revolucion! Now, what do you say we continue where we left off earlier? The more games we make, the better. I hear you loud and clear, my wonderful friend.
Now the real question is whether he actually goes through with the hour-a-day thing. There's the actual question. However, that is where we are going to end it for right now. I'm gonna adjust myself to kind of get back into the groove of recording this now that I'm trying to get back into that. Okay, interesting. So, plants constantly grow back, and it seems like it grows back relatively, incredibly fast, too. I think, like, yeah, an hour a day of gaming is enough to kind of keep him from losing his mind, I would think. but it's getting worrisome. Very, very worrisome about his mental stability. Neo specifically. I'm kind of wondering how this is going to play out. We even got a glimpse into what was written in that journal. Well, as RB's main goal here. Question. Well, anyway, that is where I'm going to end it. So if you all like this, be sure to let me know. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will definitely see all of you guys in the next video.